Welcome, folks, to Gordium. Today, Neil's just looking at me. You can't see Neil, but he's wearing an orange hoodie, and he looks just like Yoda, if Yoda wore orange. So he has broken my composure. Today we're generating ideas.
That was not intentional, though.
Oh, no,
I was
no, yeah, Neil wasn't, yeah.
You did the evil person, finger thing as you sort of sat back. So that's what I was thinking about. Yeah, like you put your fingers together.
I put my hands together.
Yeah.
Oh,
off to a great start.
We're really off to the races here. So our problem for today is search engines are opaque, and we've kind of dealt with problems like this before, and this one feels a little bit different in the sense of so the source of this problem is I was reading this article called "What Every Software Engineer Should Know About Search," and really blew me away. Okay, well, you know what? Let's just dive into some highlights. Is this going to be? This is risky to just dive into highlights. Basically, what they said was that search is more of a process than like a technology. Like, so I didn't know this. There's like a lot of search pipelines involved. Like, I didn't think about this. So when you go to search something, you have to first you have to have some way of storing all that information. So that's one system. And then the next system is then you have to figure out like how to rank all of that, right? So then you have to have some ranking system or group, how to group it, because that could be sometimes what you're doing is grouping instead of ranking. And then basically you have to have some way of rapidly accessing that. So you have to have an index of lots of page things, because you can't just like rank them every time. Like if you thought about if Google had to rank everything every time for your billions of results, like it would take forever. So sometimes like somehow you have to have some index that like keeps track of what the rankings should be for every search. Like there's all these steps involved, and I didn't know about any of them. And what I think would be really interesting is like just to have some kind of visualization of like how a search engine works. Like here's step one, here's step two, here's step three. And I think what's interesting, like why isn't this thing, I think why isn't this already a thing? Like why is search opaque? The age of surveillance capitalism is the answer. I think we'd be kind of spooked to see what Google did with our search information. So I think that's part of why it's not publicly available. Part of why it's publicly available is too, this is like really proprietary, so it's hard to just like say what's going on. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm thinking. Although now that I'm thinking about it, I want to see if what every software engineer, I feel like there are some diagrams in this article now that I'm thinking about it. Let's see. Theory of the search problem. Oh, see, here's the problem, right? This is crazy. So you have to think about the size. How big of a thing are you searching? And for Google, that's the whole internet. That's a ton. What kind of thing are you searching? And Google does really complicated stuff. They're searching text, images, they're searching geospatial data, they're searching shopping website, like all kinds of stuff. How fast does it need to be? So when you go to search something, how fast does that result need to happen? And do you need to sort the results in real time, or can you batch it, which is strange. Query language, like Google is unstructured. You can put whatever the hell you want in there. You can put images, like that adds complexity. The structure, are they like, what format are they coming in as, which again is Google does the most complex version of all these, like context dependence. This is where things get a little spooky with Google, is that like it is dependent on a lot of context and like all your information from all of the services and what kind of advertisers want to hit you in your location. Like lots is happening. To get suggest support, they have really good support for incomplete like queries. How fast does it need to be? Latency, access controls, everything public. Luckily, they don't have to do that. But something like Jira would. internationalization, which is freaking crazy to think about that Google does this. And this is their, oh, this is really nice, a product production index pipeline. That's their image of it. This is what I mean by it's opaque. Like this is a freaking site. Like, yeah. But basically they suggest thinking of search as a system with lots of, wow, this is really great visualizations with like lots of different points at which you can optimize it. So one idea is like, let's just see an example search engine with all of it visualized. Another idea is let's have a comparison site that compares how DuckDuckGo does search versus Google versus Bing versus, versus, Amazon has a search technically. YouTube is a search engine in some ways.
Yeah.
And then another one would be build our own experimental search engine that allows you to tweak different things. So like thinking about cost, for example. So like, what would it cost to decrease the latency from a second to a tenth of a second? What would it, thinking about the machine learning stuff behind a query language, like, can you, all this stuff, like giving you the ability to interact with it in kind of like a sandboxy way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I could see that being kind of interesting. Have like a faux search engine that you can build like on a website where you can, tweak all these levers.
Yeah. And it'd be super fun because like, I think what I didn't realize a while ago until we wrote that article about search engines was like, there's a ton of different ways to do search. Oh, wow, they really just updated their site. So this is an independent DIY search engine that focuses on non-commercial content. Like super interesting. So the way they do things is they, you can say, I don't want a website with JavaScript, which means it's not interactive at all. And you can say, okay, I don't even know what these algorithms are, but this one does it a little bit. Like marginalia allows you to customize their search a little bit. And then, let's search Google on here and see what comes up. Like super interesting. Oh, wow. That's interesting. Google software is malware. It's a hot take, but this site is one that you probably would struggle to find. This is another one that would really struggle to find, like, which is super interesting. I'm actually going to bookmark that. But this brings up very different results because of the way they do search, which is very unique. And yeah. So maybe like a search engine index, search engine comparison website, that'd be fun to start with. And then maybe we could think about building like an experimental engine that lets you tweak parameters.
So like in the build a better Google, it'd just be looking at like the Google quadrant, and sort of fleshing out what it is in that quadrant.
Yeah, and probably use this article, just rate it across like latency and blah, blah, like.
Yeah.
And latency we can measure pretty easily with, so I mean, Google gives us a, right?
Yeah.
Straight up.
Goodreads Go.
I don't know, what should I Google? I'm going to Google DuckDuckGo because that's funny to me. 0.47 seconds. So that's the latency on that.
Yeah. And then you can,
I don't know if they have latency on here. I don't think they show it.
If you go to advanced search, how much can you in Google advanced search?
Oh, you're right. That's a good idea. See how much you can do. How do I do
Where is advanced search? It's somewhere.
Oh, how search works? I didn't know this was a thing. What does this do? Read about our approach. Oh, this is way better than I thought. Oh, this is really good. Oh, so maybe Google did, so we could just like pull stuff from this, throw it into a website. That'd be fun. The role of location and search. This is great.
I
What?
some ways that makes it, there's too much white on this page.
What do you mean?
Like a lot of the questions are answered probably in a biased way, but
What do you
right from Google's homepage.
biased? I don't know what you could mean. Okay, here's the advanced search. You can't really mess
I guess
too much
it's,
with.
you can, narrow by language region.
Oh,
So like geolocation, you can do a little bit, but yeah, advanced search is more like if you're a library science person and you know how Boolean operators and all that nonsense works,
then you
that's
can.
advanced searches for you. But
Yeah, I'm sharing these tabs as a web page. Look at, isn't that so nice? One tab's the bomb. So now we have all our Google information. Um, wow. Yeah, so this is really interesting, actually. I think the search engine comparison website would be fun. But I guess now we're going to try to build out an apparatus to let people vote on this and see what they want.
yeah,
Be fun.
yeah,
Go ahead. So
I mean,
connections.
uh, is build a better Google in here?
Yes. So I'm gonna, yeah, let's building
Or build a better search engine?
search engine. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, okay, so here's another interesting thing is this article talks about platforms. And so this guy works at Google, used to work at Amazon, and he's like, Google does everything better than Amazon except for platforms. And so Amazon has all these platforms, like technically their store is a platform because anyone can sell on it. Technically, Amazon Web Services is a platform. Now they've done that, they've built things, everything they built internally is available publicly. So all these internal tools are available publicly. And that's something that like Google doesn't do. And so I think that's part of why search is opaque is like, I think if Amazon were to build a search engine like Google, they would probably make it like extensible and available to the public in some interesting ways. Which they kind of, I mean, you can build a search engine with Amazon, like AWS, Elasticsearch.
I've got a question for you. Are
Yeah.
search engines opaque because
Yeah.
you want the search to be as good as possible, right? And if someone knows how search is working, you can hack it. Like you can, basically do your SEO nonsense on steroids and figure out, oh, if I do this, I can artificially, bump my page way up in the search rankings.
I think at one point that was probably true. I think at this point, like it's so complex that it's probably impossible to game the system that way.
Yeah.
But maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe it is possible. I've also heard rumblings that like Google is no longer Google search. I want to see if I can find this. That Google search is failing, which is really interesting. Yeah, Google search is dying. I read this article the other day and I was very surprised. People are saying that like their search is getting worse. So like Google is no longer producing high quality search results in a significant number of categories. I need to add this to the list and link this. Which would be interesting. Like, why are they dying? I don't know. But yeah, I guess theoretically keeping it opaque helps you, yeah, keep things going, and keep people from gaming the system. So is that problem actually a solution? I don't know. Okay. Are you ready to rate?
Yeah, sure. Well, no, I'm not.
No?
Okay.
Oh, I guess yes. Okay. All right, I'm ready. What do you have for motivation?
I am not motivated. Give it a 0.
I am super motivated, giving it a 2. Expertise.
Give it a 0.
I'm a 1. I've read a little bit about these. Okay, impact.
Give it a 2.
Oh, really? I give it a 1. What does that make this? Criteria
Canvas.
for
Sorry, studio, I believe.
high impact. Yeah, yeah. Would a website be a studio? I feel like this is kind of a studio. But yeah. I think that fits more with studio than a product, you know?
Yep.
Okay, cool. That one is done. Thanks for joining us, folks. That was a wrap.